Keegan Smith here, Real Movement Project. It's time to start filling your cup. A lot of people complain about their cup. Maybe, it's not big enough. Maybe it's not wide enough. Whatever. Stop complaining about your cup and start filling it up. Okay? Complaining about your cup means complaining about your genetics, complaining about your parents, complaining your gym's not good enough, complaining you don't have enough money for the food that you want. Whatever it is. To get the body you want, you don't need much of any of those things. Everyone is in a situation where they can get enough of those things. Well, very, very few people in the world are in a difficult enough circumstance that they can say, it's not possible for me to have a great body. It's not possible for me to perform to a really high level. I've lived in orphanages in Guatemala. I've traveled through Mexico. I've lived in the mountains in Mexico. I've lived in, remote places in Ecuador. I've seen kids who don't have much, and they're physically very highly capable. They're great soccer players. There's guys there who, given the right environment, could go on to play, professional soccer. Undoubtedly, the most talented soccer players I've seen are these kids. What does it mean to you? What does this mean to you? It means that you have enough if you just make the decision to be the best you can with it. People say, yeah, well, I'm not an athlete. You don't have to be an athlete to achieve amazing levels physically. The examples are out there now. You can see it through CrossFit. You can see it through the people who are dedicated to, people like Ido Portal, people who are training under the systems of Charles Poliquin. These are the people who I learn from and, who I embrace in terms of my training, so that because they're bashing down the barriers and the limits. There's a lot of people out there now who are snatching 100 kilos. I met a guy just in Spain. I was in Marbella, training at a gym, Mike's gym down there, and it's converted to a CrossFit as well. I met a guy who's been doing CrossFit for less than 12 months. He played some golf before, wasn't really physically that active. He was super strong. He's just about there for a 100 kilo snatch. He's a really tall guy. He's deadlifting the house down. He's just made a decision to be strong. He didn't blame his cup, okay? It's not about your genetics. I want you to go out there and just realize that you should be thankful for everything that you've got. You should be thankful for the capacities that you do have. And regardless of what your absolute limit is, we can work a lot closer towards it, and we will never reach that absolute limit, okay? So there are guys who are naturally going to be heavier than other guys. There are guys who are naturally going to be, a little bit more endurant. But do you have great potential to improve? Do you have great potential to achieve very high levels of movement proficiency? Do you have potential to achieve a great standard of health? Do you have a potential to achieve a great business? All of these things are definitely possible. We can learn a lot of stuff. We all have potential to learn a lot, regardless of what grades you got at school. Regardless of what your IQ is, you have the potential to learn a lot of things and to apply a lot of that and to achieve great results. Someone with a high IQ might be here, potentially, but if they're not applying things and not learning as much as they can, then they're going to be down here. Someone else may have an IQ here, but they're not really applying them. They're really applying themselves, so they overachieve. They do, they achieve more than that person with the high potential. Now, this is an example that was given by Tai Lopez in a course that I'm doing. You got to keep doing courses. You got to keep learning. You got to keep putting yourself out there, taking on bigger challenges, so that you can see things a little bit clearer. Physically, that's exactly the same thing that we see. Athletes there working with me, I'm working with players who are going to make the NRL and players who are not going to make the NRL. 20-year-olds, the difference between the ones who I know are going to play and the ones who maybe are, maybe aren't, the ones who definitely aren't, it's mental. Genetically, it's not really that. It's not a factor. It's a very small factor. Genetics plays a part in your personality and that sort of thing as well. But we need to make decisions about what we want. The biggest thing is making the decision. People who've made the decision, people who think about what they really want, they are the people who achieve great things. So we become what we think about. This is the lesson from Earl Nightingale that I've been listening to. Earl Nightingale's in that genre of stuff with Think and Grow Rich, Bob Proctor. All these guys Joseph Murphy, who understood that the mind was actually leading the way for the future. I fully believe in that because I've seen it happen over and over again, and I see it over and over again with athletes. I see it over and over again with the coaches that I work with. We become what we think about, okay? Think about what you really want, work towards what you really want. Don't complain about your genetic potential, don't complain about your environment. Just get in there and do the work. If you do the work consistently, you're going to get amazing results. You don't need to put a massive amount, you don't need to have a massive amount of potential. You don't need to have a massive amount of anything. All you have to do is make a decision centrally, put it out there, and continue to act on the feelings that come to you, and you will achieve great things. I guarantee it. I haven't seen it fail. Decide what you want and go after it. No more excuses. No more, my glass isn't big enough. Make the decision, be the best version of yourself, and let's see what we can achieve. Let's see what changes we can make. Train's coming. Time to get on it.